Hey, Josh here,
And Mike,
and this is Must See Before You Die. And today we are reviewing John Carpenter's The Thing. So,
ooh,
so Mike, in 1982, how old were you in 1982, Mike? If you don't
I
mind
was
me
a,
asking.
I was 11 years old.
Okay, do you have any memory of this movie coming out back in 1982?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really watch this movie even back. I remember Halloween, which was a couple years earlier than that, but I don't remember ever seeing The Thing at all. To be honest with you, as a young kid or as a teenager, never really watched it.
Do you remember hearing anything about it though?
Um, to be honest with you, no.
Okay.
and I used to love horror movies.
I wasn't born until 83, so like I said, I didn't know about this till much later, and I'd watch it like on AMC Horror Fest or on TNT's if it was on like Monster Vision or something. And I started watching on TV probably in like the early 90s, I'd say.
But I had seen the 19, was it 50 some version?
I never seen that one.
I think what is it, 57? I may be wrong on all that.
Right, right.
But I did see
So
that one.
So the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is 84% critics and 92% audience score.
That's odd because we had talked earlier about how it didn't do very well when it first came out with the critics.
Right. So, and this is, like I said, 1982. John Carpenter, at this point, already came out with the original Halloween. He did the second Halloween, I think was like 81, maybe. Yep. And then this was like his next movie in 82. So, I mean, he had three bangers come out right in a row, in my opinion. Really good movies.
He also had The Fog mixed in there, right? I can't remember what year The Fog was, but that was early 80s.
That might have been 79 or 80. Yeah. You're right. Yep. So, okay. So you first start off and you see a spacecraft just basically crashed Earth. I don't think it means to do that. It just, something happens and the space shuttle falls to Earth. When you think that, Mike?
Yep.
The title card is epic. It just like flashes up and it's like The Thing, and it's that really bright white, I love that title card, Mike.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, very cool. So it takes place in Antarctica and in 1982. So very cold. Obviously very, very cold. And I think it's during their winter season of Antarctica. So it's brutal. It's like brutal weather, Mike. And then all of a sudden you see this dog like just running.
Man. I didn't like that. I didn't like that scene, Josh. I'm an animal lover, and
I am too. But you see this dog just running through the snow, and you see this helicopter, and the guy's like saying stuff, and they're looking, and it's really cool shots of like the snow and all that, and this guy's shooting at this dog with like a rifle, and he's missing it. He's a horrible shot, isn't he, Mike?
Yep.
I mean,
didn't have to worry about the dog dying.
Granted, he's in a helicopter. What else? They're trying to shoot the dog. Then they come to the U.S. I think it's National Science Institute there. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's called the Science Institute. Yep.
Yeah, and that's when you kind of meet the cast a little bit. You don't really get to meet them technically.
There's a lot of cast members in this movie too. It's kind of hard to keep up with.
If we don't remember everybody's exact names or whatever, like just go with it with us, guys. I mean, it does have a cast. I tried to be as best as I could, but yeah, So you see that, but then you see Kurt Russell's character at playing a chess game. I think, what's that game called, Mike? Chess King or something?
I think it was something like it. Yeah, that reminds me of the old 80s right there with video games, and you had computer chess.
Yeah. Kurt Russell's character is McCready. That's his last name. And so he gets ticked off at the game because it beats him, and he takes his drink of scotch and just pours it right in the computer.
killed. That's
Like
the only
ruins it.
one of the only females in the whole movie, and he kills her right off the bat.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I laughed. He said something. Didn't he say "you bitch" or something?
Yeah.
I laughed. So, he said, I wrote it here, cheating bitch.
Yep.
So I laughed at that. And then you see, as you learn, these people are Norwegians that are in this helicopter.
We have to also remember that I don't know if you mentioned it or not. Maybe I missed it. I don't know how I missed it because we just started. But Kurt Russell is the main character.
Oh, yeah, Kurt Russell is the main character, but there's a lot of characters as we mentioned.
Yeah.
So the Norwegians land and they try to kill the dog, and they have like a grenade, and like the guy that gets out, they both get out of the helicopter. One guy goes to throw it, and it slips out of his hand, goes backwards. The other guy goes running, and the other guy's like looking through the snow, blows up the Norwegian helicopter and the guy to smithereens, doesn't it? And then the other Norwegian guy just starts shooting at this dog when it's by these people.
Right.
And it hits one of the guys.
Yep.
And so this other guy that's like a commander or something, he's like an older guy, and he has a gun. And he like, I don't know why he would do that. He like breaks a window out. It's like, okay. And he like shoots this Norwegian like right in the eye, dude. Like from like a long distance with a handgun.
Yep.
And just smokes him. And this dog is trying to get up, and like this character's name that takes care of the dogs, his name was I think Clark. He had a beard. And the dog's like trying to lick him. And not really sure what's going on. I mean, dogs try to lick you, but the dog does not lick him, thankfully, at this time. And so yeah, they take care of this guy that got shot. Let me see if I wrote his name down here. No, I did not, but I think it's like Bernard or something like that. But so the dog comes inside with all of them, and it's just kind of laying around or whatever. And they're like, what's going on with the Norwegians? Like, why'd they come here? Why were they hostile? Like, what's going on? So you find out McCready is actually the helicopter pilot for this place. He's the guy that flies their helicopter. Yep. So he's very important in that sense as well. I mean, because he's really the only way out of here for everybody, So they go to check on this base, and it's McCready, it's Blair, who is played by
Brumley.
Quaker Oatmeal dude.
Brumley?
Yeah, Wilford Brimley.
Yep, Brimley, yeah.
He's one of the guys that went Blair, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's Blair, McCready, and I think that's it. I think
there may have been another one, but I only remember two of them going.
Right. So they go to this Norwegian place, and the place is decimated, and it might.
Yeah, it's been lit on fire too. It's still smoldering, the smoke, and you see the outside of it's black where it's been set on fire.
Yep. Let me say this: while they're at the Norwegians, all of a sudden they take you to a clip, and they show the dog walking down a hallway. And it walks into someone's room, and you don't see who the guy is at all. And the guy just turns around and looks. You can tell by the shadow, and then it cuts. Nothing else. Right?
Yep.
So did you have any clue who that guy was in that room, Mike?
I didn't.
Right. Me neither. And there's a reason for that. Do you know why?
Why?
I can kind of tell you a little fact right now. That was actually, John Carpenter actually got Dick Warlock, who played Michael Myers in... I think it was I think it was the second or the fourth movie. Can't remember, but he hired him for that one scene. So it didn't look like any of the actors. So it would be so like, you wouldn't know who it was basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So he hired a different guy to play that scene. So you wouldn't know who it was.
Huh.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
This movie is full of suspense the whole time. I mean, when I say suspense, it's, paranoia, suspense. Yep. You don't know who the, who's what. I mean, we'll get into it here in a second.
The main driving of this whole story is paranoia.
Right.
Like that's the main thing driving this whole movie is paranoia.
Yeah.
It could be well, we'll talk about it when it gets there. So the dog goes into someone's room, and then that's it. And like I said, the Norwegian, like Mike said, the Norwegian base is destroyed. There's a guy there that like slit his own wrists and throat.
Yep.
And like the blood is like frozen down. It didn't even reach the ground. That's how cold it is here, guys.
Yep.
And it's a pretty horrific scene there. They're walking around and they find outside. Oh, they go and they walk in the building and they see this like almost like tomb that they find in like a garage. It was like
cinder blocks, like a cinder block tomb.
Yeah, and it looked like something came out of there. Like
like
something was in it and it's no longer there.
Yeah.
Right, Mike? And what did they find outside, Mike?
They found at the time, and I didn't know what it was, but it looked like this body / creature alien type thing. And it had characteristics of humans and something extraterrestrial. Let me just say it that way.
Yes. So they found that, and I don't know why, but they brought it back to their camp.
They did.
And I would have said, no way. No way, no how. It was all burnt to smithereens, but yeah. Once they do some close-up shots of that thing, Mike, it was pretty gnarly, man.
And that's something we need to kind of preface this with a little bit is for that time, the graphics and the some of the creatures they did, the killings and stuff like that was, if you watch it nowadays, you're like, it's kind of cheesy, but it still looks pretty good over the test of time for the last 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, the special effects on this movie, I feel like, still hold up.
And they're 40 years later.
Yes, and they still hold up, and they are really good. All practical effects, guys. No computer here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, some of them's a little funny, and you kind of laugh at it now, but still, for that time period, 40 years ago, that's pretty good.
Well, and they're also going to do Blair's going to do an autopsy on this creature. He finds that it has all the organs and everything, just like a person would. And they're starting to kind of figure out, like, what is this? Like, it like was trying to like assimilate. That's what the word they use in this movie a lot is assimilate.
Yep. Assimilate.
Yeah. So, whoa. So I had to scoot back. Assimilate. And so basically, what we're going to learn about this. Well, let me make sure I didn't skip nothing. They go to put the dog. Clark puts the dog in the pen with the other dogs, Mike. And this is where you get your first, like, holy crap special effect, in my opinion.
Yep.
To explain what happens in this dog pen, Mike.
It's like the dog transforms into this alien, or like the aliens from the inside out. And it basically peels back the head of the dog, and it kind of steps kind of out, but then it's also kind of looks like a spider. It's got these like spider legs, and then it has other dog faces, like where it's trying to assimilate like a dog. It's got some characteristics of a dog as well, so it's a real freaky looking creature.
Right. So what this does is anything that it can touch or whatever, and that's through like saliva or anything or the blood. And they can assimilate it. So, like, he wanted to assimilate all those dogs. All those dogs would turn into it. So this thing can spread very fast.
It also spit out like fluid at one of the main dog, dog that that was at the very beginning running, and that was kept out of the pen. Because that one dog was kept out of the pen while all the other ones were put up.
Yep, he's trying to assimilate. Looks like and then they realize that the Norwegians, while all this is going on, they find out that the Norwegians found a spaceship in the ice.
I forgot how they kill this alien, or they think they killed the alien, though. That was pretty awesome, in my opinion. How they came in with a flamethrower and just lit that thing up right there in the pen.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I skipped that.
They come in with a gun first, shooting with a gun. That didn't get it done. And then
Clark was getting upset. He's like, no, don't shoot my dogs, But at that point, the dogs were done, dude.
Yep.
Like, they were wrapped in the cord. They were assimilating. They were already too far gone. So they were blasting with shotgun, like you said. They had Childs come in with a flamethrower and just light the thing up. The thing tried to escape, like lifting itself through the roof, but they lit that sucker up. It didn't get to go nowhere.
Yep.
So you think, oh, okay, well, that's over with.
Yep.
You know, so like there's, but they said, like I said, they see that the Norwegians found a spaceship in the ice. So McGreedy and
they also pulled that figure, that alien figure that was already burnt. They pulled it and started doing an autopsy on it as well.
Right. So like I said, and then McGreedy and a couple of the other guys, the guy that got shot, I think his name was Barrett or something like that. And then that other tall hippie guy that was smoking a bunch of weed in the movie, he went with them. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, they went together to go check out this spaceship. And I think that was them who went. But they went and checked it out. And the guy said, like McGreedy's like, how long do you think this spaceship's been here? And the guy goes, this thick of ice? 100,000 years or whatever he said.
Yeah, he brought up some huge number. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah. So that spaceship's been there for a long, long time, just because they can tell by the thickness of the ice, how, stuff like that. But like I said, and Blair's doing research on his computer somehow about this. That was a little wonky to me, because I'm like, well, how does this computer know this stuff about the assimilating? And it like showed how it assimilated. Like it.
Well, you remember they've already put somebody on the moon at this point, right, John?
No.
So yeah, he runs assimilations, and it says there's a 75% or something like that percent that it's infected everybody else.
Well, no. It said 75% chance that one of the guys in the camp is infected now. Right. So just one, though. 75% chance that one is. It also says that it can infect the whole world in 27,000 hours of first contact. The whole world, Mike. 27,000 hours. That's how fast this thing spreads. So, yeah, that's insane. So this makes Blair kind of go nuts when he reads this information. He grabs a gun. He grabs a bottle of vodka, I think it was. And
he starts destroying everything. The radio system, the computers. He's hitting with axes and shooting things. He kills
the remaining dogs.
Yeah.
Yep. He kills the remaining dogs. He busts up everything. He tries to shoot all the guys. McCready goes in with a table. Good thing he did, because he swung that axe at that table like he was aiming for McCready's head.
Yep.
But then they said that Blair locked himself in his room. So, this is where they are in the room with that body that originally found. And I think his name is Bennings, is the guy that got shot. And he's in there with it. And all of a sudden, this other guy, the hippie, I call him kind of like a hippier guy. He has like glasses, and I think his name is Window. And his last name. And he comes in, and Bennings is being assimilated by this body that's starting to unthaw. So like, even if it's froze, it's not dead. Like if it can unthaw blood, it's alive. Like that's the thing about the thing. Every part of it is alive. From the blood to the skin to the teeth, anything on it is alive. And the only way to kill it is to burn it.
Yep.
That's it. So yeah, they started to assimilate this guy, and that looked weird when he was assimilating. He had like all these cords around him. And another thing about the thing, when you get assimilated, all your clothes rip off.
I never noticed that, but yeah, you're right.
It can assimilate your clothes. So, like when they find clothes that are ripped up or whatever, that usually means that you're assimilated.
That comes up later in the movie,
right? Then they'll just find other clothes to wear, so or whatever. So they burn this guy outside, Bennings. He like runs outside, and it's kind of a crazy part where they're all outside. And they're like, "Oh God!" And he's like, "Ah!" Like does this like real monstrous scream, and one of his hands is like huge. It reminded me of Vecna's hand off Stranger Things. It was like those long fingernails. Yep. And McGreedy just like knocks over this thing of like gasoline and throws a freaking
lights him up live.
Oh man, dude, he throws what is that? A torch or whatever.
Yeah, a flare.
And it goes out on the ground and it just he just explodes in fire.
Yep.
And everybody there saw him. Like he wasn't fully assimilated yet. So they can all see that he, so he's dead. And I believe that's the first death of the main group of guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the first death of the main group of guys.
Right. You had the two Norwegians that came in, but the main core, that's the first one
of the U.S. guys.
Yep.
So after that, Matt, they call him Mac too, McCready. They call him Mac for short. He sees Blair at the helicopter, like taking stuff off of it. And he's like, what the heck? Then you see Blair like run to his room or his little shack or whatever. And McCready goes to the helicopter and it's all tore apart. Like inside, all the stuff. He wouldn't be able to fly it, would he, Mike?
Nope.
No. So what it is they said
we already got to the point where they lock up Blair.
Yeah, I'm getting to that right now. I just said they put Blair in a tool shed and they lock him in there. In my opinion, at this point, Blair's not. I don't think Blair. Well, I think Blair.
I was questioning if he was really. I was questioning if he was already possessed with this alien because he had been doing the autopsies and been all in the fluid and stuff. Because I was thinking he was one of them, but the movie doesn't lead you on that he is yet. I mean, it's a possibility, but they all lock him up because he had pulled the drunk, destroyed everything else.
Right. So yeah. So you think like Blair's probably taken over at this point. So they lock him in there. He says, I don't want to be in here. Like, how long do I have to be in here? Blah, blah, blah. They lock him up. And at this point, Clark is a suspect because Blair says, watch Clark very carefully. Because if you think Clark has been interacting with all these dogs.
Yep.
And he was interacting with the dog that came there the most. And at the beginning, the dog was the one trying to lick like his face. Mm-hmm. And we know that with fluid, it can transport. The thing could have started simulating very slowly with Clark through the fluid. So Blair says, watch him closely, watch him very closely, McCready. So Clark is like a main suspect right now. Like paranoia is running wild right now.
They're all looking at each other, pointing fingers and arguing with each other.
Yes, definitely. It's running wild. I'd put who is who and who isn't. Like that's why I put like no one knows, man. That is the craziest part about this movie is like you never knew who was. Like, you just didn't know.
Yeah, at this point, I put in my notes, guys think one is an alien. They're imitating, that it's imitating each other, and they are turning on one another.
That's right. No doubt. They're
all pointing fingers at each other that they're possible aliens, the alien.
Right. So they're going to do a test. McGreedy says, we're going to do a test, and we're going to see, with this blood or whatever. Well, the blood, they go to check on the blood and it's destroyed. Yep. Someone got in this locked refrigerator with all the blood samples and wrecked it all.
And there's only one guy that has a key to that.
And that's the guy that has the gun.
The commander. Yeah. The commander or the guy with the gun or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. But he is the guy with the keys and he only gives the keys to the doctor. So it's like one of these two guys. They're like, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. And so you don't know who it is. You're like, well, is it one of these guys? Is it the doctor? Because they only got one doctor.
So they tie them up.
Right. So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're going to do the test, but like I said, I wrote in here about the ripped up clothes. or whatever. If they rips off your clothes, what is I gonna say? Fuchs is a guy that has glasses and he's kind of like a science guy. And he was like, he told McCready, like, from now on, everybody should eat out of a can, so nobody can tamper with somebody's food.
Right.
He's kind of like a nerdy guy with glasses and a beard, and he's studying Blair's notes on it, like that, because Blair was like taking notes on it during whatever, and he just said to be sure everybody should eat out of a can, so no one can tamper with it. And then he's in there, and all of a sudden he hears something, and he goes after it, and then someone goes by him in a hallway, and he's like, "Whoa!" He chases outside after this, whoever it was, and then you don't see nothing of him. And then McCready and I think the cook Knowles, the guy on roller skates, Knowles.
Yeah.
They go out and they find this guy, Fuchs, is like just burnt up. He's dead. Like, I don't know, Mike, what do you make of that scene?
I was totally lost on that. I was like, I almost went back and watched it again because I was afraid, did I miss something? Did I go to the bath? I mean, how did I miss this part?
No.
It was like he combusted or something. It was weird.
No, it's like they said, what they do, set himself on fire so he couldn't.
Right.
Maybe he started to get infected and he said, just burnt himself on fire.
Or the paranoia of, I mean, well,
he chased after a guy, and I think the guy he chased after was Blair. I think Blair got out. I do. I think it was Blair. I don't know that for sure, but it could be. But yeah, Fuchs, he went out, and like I said, he got burned up, and that was kind of like a mystery, like you said. Like, you kind of like, wait, what happened here? So that was weird. And Max says, well, I'm going to go check on my place. And Niles is like, why? And he's like, because when I left this morning, I didn't leave a light on. So somebody was in Max's, like, apartment building that he had there. They left the light on. They went there. And then all of a sudden, just Knowles comes back. And he's like, oh. And then he has a piece of McCready's clothes. They're, like, ripped up. Remember? And he shows everybody that. And he's like, this is ripped up. You know, McCready's one of them. He's one of them. He's one of them. Or whatever. Then McCready breaks into like a storage area in the place, and they all come looking for him to try to get him. He's got a whole like
stack of dynamite.
Yeah, a whole roll of dynamite. And he's like, you guys get close to me, I'm lighting this thing
So
up.
we're all going.
I love that, dude. Dude, Kurt Russell in this.
Yeah.
He's excellent.
Yeah. Kurt Russell was awesome.
Yes, he is excellent in this. So they do end up grabbing him, and the one guy, I'm trying to look and see if I wrote his name down. The guy, one of the guys that goes to grab him ends up having a heart attack. Yeah. And just dies right there on the floor, basically. So they grab him and they move him to this like the rec room area, and the doctor, at this point, you haven't seen much of nothing really. It's like you said, it's kind of slower. They're really building the paranoia. You haven't seen much special effects since the dogs. They're trying to work on this guy CPR. Then they get what are those called? Defibrillator.
Yeah, defibrillator.
And they go to give him, the doctor goes to give him a defibrillator shot, Mike. And it is an amazing scene here. He goes to give it to him, and it just like the whole belly just opens up like a big mouth.
Yeah, his head starts pulling away. And
his whole like
green stuff's coming out of his head. And
the doctor's arms just get totally bit off.
Yeah, his whole chest opens up.
Ah!
His whole chest opens up, and then like this big jaws like bites off both his arms, the doctor's arms.
So the guy's head, the guy that had a heart attack. So they say that whatever the thing assimilates, it takes on characteristics of the person. So like the person had a weak heart, so did the thing. So it was like, but so like his head came off of his body and it went on the floor, grew like legs and like eye antennas, and it started crawling away. And this big thing came out of this guy's chest with the guy's face. Wasn't it, dude? It's incredible.
It's crazy.
Incredible scene. They light this thing up. Well, McCready's trying to light it up, I think, with a thing, and it's not working well or something. And then they finally light this thing up, and then they see that head, and it's just over there, and it like all of a sudden like looks at him or something. And it's like, and they're like, just like light that thing up too. So they burn that all up.
Is that where he says the famous line though? When he saw the head?
What was it?
You got to be effing kidding me. You got to be effing me is what he said.
Well, I'm going to say the real F word a little later.
Yeah, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. But he said that, and that's kind of a funny scene in the movie because you're like, I mean, that's kind of a famous scene in the movie.
Yeah. It's awesome. That whole thing, kudos to the people with doing the practical effects. It looks great still, in my opinion. The whole part where it bites off the doctor's arms, dude, is like I said, like you hadn't really seen much, since the dog. So like when that part comes up, you're kind of like, what the heck? It shocks you. I feel like so. So now they're gonna, after all that, they need to test everybody. And McCready said, "Well, there's a way to test everybody." So what they do is they're gonna cut people's fingers, put them in a little test thing.
Little petri.
And McCready said, well, like he learned from this guy that like I said earlier, each thing on the thing is survival. No matter if it's the blood, the head, the eyes, whatever, it's all survival. So he's thinking that the blood will react to something hot. So he like heats up this little iron thing and he sticks it in people's bloods. And each person, you're like looking in anticipation, like, who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Right. Well, it goes to the one guy. And he's like, oh, like he's relieved, like it ain't me,
Yeah, it's not me. I mean, because these people, it could be at the beginning of it, and they don't even know if it's in them yet.
Well, at this part, they have Childs, the commander guy, and then the guy that's the weed dude, all tied together.
Yeah.
Those three guys, for whatever reason. And, well, they had him tied up because and then Knowles, the guy that the cook, his blood's fine. And then, like I said, I think Window's his name, a guy with glasses and curly hair. His blood's fine, so they're staying
Kurt
back.
Russell's, I think, second, right?
Kurt Russell's blood's fine.
Yep.
And then they go to, oh gosh, I wish I knew the guy's name. Palmer. Palmer is the tall guy that's the weed dude. I wrote it here. They check Palmer's. And the blood leaps out of this container, doesn't it, Mike?
Yep.
Like literally screams. It goes, ah!
Then as soon as it does, you look at him and he starts transforming.
This is him. He's like, and it is an incredible transformation, Mike. Another one, like, it like his whole head splits in half and is like a Venus flytrap.
Yep.
And the one guy,
like something out of the new Stranger Things almost for back then, 40 years ago.
Yeah. So the window guy, he gets the thing and he's like gonna try to shoot it, but he doesn't. He's just like staring at it like, oh, and it just clamps on his head and totally like picks him up in the air, doesn't it, Mike?
Yep.
And then he goes flying in a corner. Well, he's done. So you can just tell, like, he's like this, and it's trying to assimilate him why he's sitting there, and it is. Kurt Russell finally blows this thing away with the flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look over and they see that window guy, and they blow him away before he can assimilate. So what's left is Knowles, Childs, the captain dude, and McCready. There's only 4 guys left.
There, but you got Blair also.
Oh, you got Blair. They got Blair. Yeah,
he's still supposed to be locked up.
So they leave Childs. They leave Childs back, and they say, if us 3 don't come back, but Blair does, light him up. If he comes back by himself, kill him.
Yeah. Like
no ifs, ands, buts about it. Kill the guy. Because that means he killed us. So they go to Blair's, and Blair's not there. Well, there was a part that I missed earlier. They went to give Blair food, and Blair made a noose in his place.
I saw that. Yeah.
This is way earlier. Sorry, I missed it. Blair made a noose. He's like, so I want to come back in. At this point, he's assimilated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think that he knew he was being assimilated slowly. I think. One thing I watched, Mike, was somebody said that Palmer or the guy that had a heart attack they were both assimilated. They were both the it. At the same time, but and they knew that, of course. And one of them went out there to like feed him, and they put their blood in his food, and then he ate it, and that's how he is slowly assimilated. And that's one thing I watched, and they said that that's why he was going to try to kill himself, but by the time that he was going to, it was already too far gone, and he was assimilated. So that's why there was a noose in there. That's what they say. But they go to check on Blair this time. He's not there. And they're like, where's Blair? Where's Blair? And they notice that some of the boards are loose under this tool shed. So they lift it up. They go down. There's like a whole like dug out workspace under here, Mike, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like it reminded me of the horror movie we just watched with the dungeon in the back.
Right. So like this didn't just take a couple hours. I mean, this is over days.
He's like, had to have done this. Get down there. He's look like he's building a flying saucer or something.
Yeah, a space shuttle from the helicopter parts.
Yep.
Yeah. So they go ahead and blow that up. Knowles and this guy and McCready. All of a sudden, they look up and they see Childs like walk out of there. He like walks after something, and they're like, wait, why did he leave his post? You know what I mean? Yep. And then all the power goes out.
Yep.
And then they're like, man, okay, well, like we're not getting out of here. McCready, Kurt Russell says, we're not getting out of here. So we're going to make sure it doesn't get out of here. Like, this is our last stand, guys. Like, none of us are going to survive this.
Yeah,
so,
he said if not, the thing could wait on a rescue, and it could be 1,000, 10,000 years, 100,000 years later. They also noticed they needed to heat the place up because it couldn't survive in the heat. The cold. It could survive in the cold, but the heat pulled it out.
Right. So like you said, they're going to wait for the rescue. Once the rescue team would come and try to what happened at this base, like, they'll come check on it eventually. But I think it's like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever.
There wasn't enough time. It's too late.
Right. So it would already be frozen in the ice or whatever. And like you said, it can wait it out. It don't matter. So it can't. The extreme cold does not kill it. It can be thawed out. So, but so they just start blowing this place sky high with dynamite, Molotov cocktails, and all this kinds of stuff. I mean, they're going room to room and just blowing it up, aren't they, Mike?
Yep.
And what is their? They still haven't found Blair at this point. They go down to the generators, and so what happens next, Mike? All three of them go down there, and what happens next?
I think it's the part where that all of a sudden this monster alien started going up underneath the ground.
No.
I'm too far ahead.
Yep, too far ahead. The commander dude is there, and Knowles and McCready are all placing dynamite down there to blow up the generators and all that.
Oh yeah.
And the commander dude is down there, and all of a sudden he turns around and Blair is there, and he puts his hand into his face, and his fingers just start going right into his face.
Yeah, I forgot. Yes, you're right.
Dude, that was nuts. He started assimilating him like right away.
Yep.
As soon as he touched him, he started assimilating him, and he kills the guy, and he his hand is stuck in this guy's face, and he's just dragging him. It was pretty cool.
Yep.
And then McCready's, like I said, doing up some dynamite, and Knowles, all of a sudden, I don't know why, he gets distracted, and he's like, what's going on? And he just starts walking. I mean, the guy's an idiot. I mean, why would you do that?
Yeah, walks away.
Yeah, and then you assume he dies because you don't see him again. And then all of a sudden, like you said, this huge thing comes under the ground like a tremor. It's like
just like the Tremor movies. Yep.
Yeah, and it knocks McCready backwards, and they have it all the dynamite set up to a push thing where it's gonna blow up a bunch of stuff, and it comes out of the ground. Part of it's Blair's face. The other part's like a mouth like this on the side. This thing is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because you had Blair, the commander, and Knowles all combined into one big entity. That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
That's why it's so big. And then another famous line for the movie, Kurt Russell just don't care, dude, at this point. Takes a stick of dynamite and he's like, oh yeah, fuck you too. And he just throws this thing. And he's like 5 foot away from it, isn't he? That's
yeah.
Like, I don't care. Throws it, blows up everything, and he is still alive. And he's like, okay, this thing's dead. He goes, sits, and he's very cold. I mean, they said that these temperatures are going to be like 60, 70 below or something crap like that. Like, you can't survive it. So he's sitting there. He's got a bottle of something. He's sitting there. He goes to take a drink, and you see Childs behind him. He turns around, and there's Childs with a flamethrower and everything still. And he's like, Childs, where's you been? And he's like, oh, I went after Blair, but I got lost in the snowstorm. I don't believe it. I don't buy it for 1 minute, Mike. We'll get into that in a minute. So he hands Childs the bottle. Childs drinks it. McCready starts laughing at this point after he drinks it. Hands the bottle back. And I think McCready says something like, I thought he said, we're just going to stay here for a little while or something like that. And that's how the movie ends.
Yep. And
you don't know if Childs is the Thing or not. You would think that McCready is not the Thing because he blew it up. But that's always been, like one of those endings where you're like, well, is Child the Thing? He ran off. You didn't really know what happened to him. There's like some theories. I know Mike said one where he didn't have like a glare in his eye. There's for Child at the end. There's another theory where you can't see Child's breath that much, but you actually can if you look. His breath is visible. And they also said that also debunks that theory is the guy Bennett or whatever his name is, Bennis. When he's the Thing, when he's assimilated and they burn him right before that, he goes and like you see a ton of. Like you see his breath a ton. So like that argument's over. Then there's another theory that could be true because they were using lots of Molotov cocktails to burn up this place. Well, McCready has a bottle in his hand. They said that, he handed him this to see if he'd drink it, that it was gasoline. And they say the Thing wouldn't know what gasoline would taste like. But then I seen an argument was, well, when you assimilate somebody, you have a lot of their memories like this does. So he would know if it tastes like gasoline or not or whatever. That's what some people are saying.
Well, I thought at the very end too, though, the McCready made a comment. He said we could just end it all right here. Basically, he was saying, well, I could just end it all right here and blow us up with the dynamite, or we can just finish off this bottle before we die. Basically we're going to die anyway.
Right.
And that's why, to me, I kind of felt like Childs was not maybe not the alien,
right?
Because if he was the alien, he wouldn't want to sit there and just, number one, he wouldn't want to get blown up because it would kill him.
I know, but dude, all this stuff's blowing up, and I don't know, man. It just seems awful fishy to me.
It's kind of odd though that as Carpenter never said what he thought how the ending really meant for it to be. Then,
huh?
Has John Carpenter never said what how he thought it was? I mean,
no. I mean, he's debunked some of the stuff, but no, he's never. I don't think he's ever really said that, Mike.
So we talked about this too. There was an alternate ending to this, which was filmed, and then they never did use it. The alternate ending was that a helicopter flies down, and only Kurt Russell McCready is taken off and taken off. So what does that mean? Does that mean if that was the ending, if that was going to be the ending, I don't know what would have happened to Childs then.
Right. I don't know.
Unless they would have showed him frozen and dead, and then maybe he really wasn't dead. He's just frozen until the next they come back and get him later on.
Right. So it's one of those films I feel like that you can rewatch because you see different things. I feel like you can rewatch it. It's pretty good. Did you want to do our rating, Mike, or you want to do the facts?
Let's do the facts real quick, and then let's go with the ratings.
Oh, I do want to say that I got a total of 12 kills in this movie. 12.
There was so many characters I couldn't even keep up with it. I'm gonna trust you on that one, Josh.
Well, I'm not talking about everybody they got. I'm just talking about when someone got assimilated, that's a kill to me. Killing the Thing doesn't count as a kill, in my opinion. It's just when someone gets assimilated, or Clark. We didn't say this, but Clark actually got shot in the head by McCready.
Yeah.
We kind of forgot about that, but he did get shot in the head. He actually was one of the only deaths that was not like assimilated. You know,
one of the guys made a comment, says, "Oh, now we're going to get you for murder because he shot and killed him."
Right.
But he was going to try to attack him. I mean, he was attacking him.
That's right.
So we'll go through real quick, and we touched on one or two of these. When the movie came out, it was originally a flop with the audience, and they're saying a lot of it, and this was John Carpenter's thoughts, was that the reason why is because E.T. had came out previously or right around the same time, and E.T. was this cute and cuddly movie about an alien, whereas this one was kind of gloom and doom, and the alien, it was an alien that was not like E.T.
Right.
It only made just under $20 million.
Right.
Critics hated it, did not like it, even though we kind of said earlier, it's kind of ironic now that you look at Rotten Tomato and the audience, and it's a lot higher rating.
That's right.
It's not actually, a lot of people call it a remake, but it's actually not a remake. It and the original both went off the same book, but it was changed up from the original.
Right.
A double amputee was used to create the film's quintessential special effect, where the doctor stuck his arms down in there and both arms were bitten off. They used a double amputee to do that part.
Yeah.
And then makeup effects icon Stan Winston worked on this film, and he asked them not to put his name in as helping on the film. But
I think I watched something where they said that he only worked on the part with the dogs.
Okay.
The dog kennel and that creature that tried to escape. He only was brought in to work on that part, and that was it. Right.
And then Kurt Russell said almost killed himself with a stick of dynamite. That one scene that Josh was talking about where he threw the dynamite. He did that scene in real life. He didn't use a double on that, and he didn't realize how explosive it was or how it would knock him down. And he really got knocked backwards. That was kept in the movie. So he kind of did his own stunt on that one.
Yeah.
It featured an all-male cast. I think the only females in this was in a commercial, and then also on the chess game, you hear a female voice. You don't really see a female. And I think Josh said it was all males that were killed, and that is true. Alternate ending was filmed. We brought that up. So it says Kurt Russell would take a drag on a cigarette at the beginning of certain shots in order to make the breath appear more visible. Just because it was supposed to be really, really cold.
Yeah.
And then John Carpenter has said of all the movies he's done, this is his personal favorite.
Right, because he was a huge fan of the Thing from Another World, or whatever it was called. So, like, this was like a personal thing that he really wanted to do. So I wanted to say, when you had that up, Mike, that picture of the guy with the light, that is an iconic image.
Yep.
It's an iconic image. NECA actually just brought a figure out of that, Mike. And I think the inside can light up through the head. It's not a head. It's just that. And it looks like it spreads out, and it's a guy in a coat and that. It's just that figure. And I think it's like some kind, I don't know if it was a Comic-Con exclusive or something, but yeah, I mean, that is an iconic image
cool.
On that poster.
So what's your rating? How you want to rate this again, Josh?
Molotov cocktails.
Okay. What do you give it?
For me, because like I said, I have a lot of nostalgia with it, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. I think the acting's good. I like the actors in it. I love the special effects. Of course, I love John Carpenter. Yeah, all those things. I like the setting, like real secluded, like it's these guys and that's it. like I said, I like everything about it. Like I said, I'll give it a 4. 4 Molotov cocktails out of 5. In my opinion.
So, in my opinion, I agree that I thought it got a little slow there in the middle for at some point. I like the way it started out with the dogs and all that, but it did get a little bit slow for a while, and then it got really sped up at the very end of it. The thing about this movie, to me, more than anything, is the special effects for that time, but also the paranoia, the psychological game this movie plays with you, trying to guess who's the alien.
Yes.
Them trying to guess. I like all that in it.
Yep.
Overall, I'm going to give it, to me, 3 being average. I'm going to give it 3.5.
Okay.
Just really because of a little bit of the slowness of it, but still a great movie. You know, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan.
Yeah. This is coming from a guy that doesn't. Hey, this is coming from a guy that doesn't think the original Halloween is slow.
Well, the original Halloween's 1.5 hours. This is right at 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing you.
But yeah, so and it was a build up similar to that. There's a build up the whole time to the very end, like to really see it. But yeah, it's a good solid movie. It's definitely something I think people should definitely check out.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen this movie,
and I believe your wife just recently watched it, right, for the first time, and she really liked it.
Oh yeah, my wife watched it and she really enjoyed it. She loved the who done it, like you don't know who it is. She loved that aspect of the movie. Some of the special effects she didn't care for because it was a little too gruesome for her, but overall she really enjoyed it for that because she liked, like she never knew who it was, and she loved the part where the dog walked into that room and you didn't know who that guy was at all. Like you were like, wait, somebody's assimilated, but we don't know who it is. Like you had no clue, especially because, like I said, turns out I was watching this thing and they said that actually was supposed to be the guy that had a heart attack. That's the guy that first got assimilated by the dog. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what this one thing was saying that I was watching. So yeah, great movie. Our next movie we are going to be reviewing is 1979 horror movie Alien. And wait, Alien? That's a horror movie? Yes. The original Alien movie is 100% a horror movie.
Cool deal. So, hey, we're going down Alien Lane here for the next couple of weeks. But, hey, these are a lot of people consider them in the top 100. Some people have them in the top 20, top 10 in some lists. So, please tell us what you think. Have you ever seen The Thing, this version, or even the newer version or the original?
Oh, yeah. There was a prequel to this movie. I think it came out in 2011. And what it does is it shows you what happened at the Norwegian base before this. It's not necessarily very good, but there is callbacks to The Thing. I think you should watch it just because it goes along with this movie. Not necessarily the greatest, but an all right companion piece.
All right. So please tell us your thoughts and please like, subscribe, and comment.
Yes.
Have a good one, Josh. Thanks, man.
Hey, see ya. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.